Hi, yes. So today I'm going to do step-by-step painting of a lovely fawn deer. We've got a lovely image, a reference image here of a fawn deer standing in front of a bunch of lupines. And I'm going to use acrylic paint in mine today. I'm also going to make some 3D little petals to stick on the lupines, just to give a little bit of a 3D effect. And also just in the grass here, I'm going to just show you how to do some of that. So if you want to get yourselves ready, what we're going to need is just a piece of paper and whatever medium you want to use. I'm going to use acrylic paint today. So if you want to use acrylics, or if you want to use watercolours, or watercolour pencils, or even markers, or twistables or crayons or anything like that, get them ready, and a pencil and maybe a rubber as well, and a couple of different sizes and paintbrushes going from small up to a little bit larger. And if you want to just get out a scrap piece of paper as well, I'm just going to do a quick warm-up exercise with you before we start as well, okay? And for the warm-up exercise, if you can have just a few different colours, that'd be great as well, okay? So we'll get our bits together and I'll be back to you in a second with the warm-up. Okay, so for a warm-up exercise, I want to do an observational study. So that means just basically drawing what we see, not what we think we see. So I want to use this reference picture for our warm-up as well. And it can be nice to, so I'm going to do a few different warm-ups all on the one piece of paper and all overlapping each other. So what can be nice is to use different colours as you're doing your warm-up, okay? So the first one we want to do is a timed contour drawing. And basically what that is we're going to draw the outline of our deer, where the deer meets the space around it. So we're not drawing in any of the detail of the eyes or any of the spots or any of the shading or anything. It's literally just the contour, the outline, okay? So, and this is going to be timed. So I'm going to do it in 20 seconds. And yeah, so we'll go and we'll start... yeah, so we'll go with start. I'm just going to do the first one with pencil. Yeah, so we'll just start now. Okay, that's 20 seconds are up. So what you're doing is you're going to just draw the outline. What I want you to practice is looking at your object and not your page. Okay, so mine actually didn't turn out too bad, but some of them will be quite wonky. So don't worry about it if it's wonky, okay? This is just warm-up exercise, literally just to get yourself loosened up before we start drawing. Excuse me. The next one I want to do is a blind contour drawing. And the blind contour drawing is quite similar to our timed one. Excuse me, except that this time, I don't want you looking at your piece of paper, okay? So we're going to spend all of our time looking at our reference image, and we're not going to look at our piece of paper at all, okay? So in order to help us to do that, I just have some sheets of paper here, and I'm going to hold them over my page so that I can't cheat. Okay, so I want you to find something, it could be a book or a magazine or something, and hold it over your sheet so that you can't see it. And you can use this reference image, so I want you looking at the reference image all of the time, okay? So we can spend a little bit longer doing this one. I'll probably give you about 30 seconds, but I'm going to start it now. Okay, and stop. and we'll have a look. Oh goodness. Okay, so that's mine. You'll see that it got all wonky and I lost where I was on the page altogether, but that's fine. That's what we're looking for. This isn't to be a pretty picture, okay? The reason we're doing these is to warm up. It's not to have a lovely pretty picture at the end, so don't worry about that. And I think we'll do one more. This time I'm going to do a contour drawing again, but I'm going to allow you to look at the page and to look at the image at the same time, okay? And we'll have a little bit longer doing this, so you can spend about up to, well, I don't know, maybe a minute doing this, okay? So again, it's a contour. You're going and you're doing the outline of your animal, of the fawn. You're not putting in any detail of eyes or anything like that, and you're layering them, so one on top of the other, okay? So then this one is just a contour drawing. Okay, so I'm just going to start again with the back legs, and I really want you to focus on the lines where the nose comes out, this little bit of the eye that's jutting out here, the shape that's in that ear and how it comes down, the flatness on the top of the head, up into that point, and how there's little gentle curves on the front of the body here. The shape on those legs, how they come in and out, how that back leg is back a little bit. Okay. So that's our contour drawings. We've done 3 of them, and this is just a quick warm up, literally just to get yourself loosened up. I want you to kind of be relaxed and not worrying too much about the final results. So sometimes by doing these drawings, we can we get a little bit more relaxed into the process. Okay, so you can tidy that away now, and we'll take out our main page for our main picture. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to do a step-by-step of drawing the outline of the deer. So you can follow along with me. If you need to pause or rewind or anything at any stage, please do. You can go at your own pace. So I'm just using, my paper is in portrait, and I'm going to fit my deer kind of into the bottom half, coming up in the middle, but the body will be in the bottom half of my page. So the first place I'm going to start is at his nose. Okay, so this deer has a kind of an oval shaped nose, or like a rectangle nearly with the rounded edges, and it curls in on the left and the right, and then a curved line at the bottom. Now from there, I'm going to draw this line up onto the top of its left eye. So at the top of that nose, I'm bringing it up towards the right, and it's going to curve up to the left. And from there, I'm going to bring a straight line up to the right. And I'm going to bring that over for the top of its head. The end of that straight line at the top of its head, I'm going to bring a curved line down to the right, and then I'm going to just bring down a straight line for the side of its neck, but I'm going to just leave that hanging for the moment, and I'll come back to it in a little while. From here, I'm just going to fill in this eye that's here on the left. You can just see a little bit of its cheek on the left hand side. See if I can come down a little bit closer for this stage. And then we're going to just put in the bottom of its mouth. So it's kind of got a little downturn of its mouth, and then it comes up into almost a smile. The bottom of its nose here, I'm going to bring an angle line into the right, and then bringing it back up, and just bringing a jawline over, not reaching over right over to that right hand line there, just stopping short at that. Okay, so it looks a bit funny at the moment, so we're going to need to pop in its eye. So I want to put in its right eye there. So coming up at an angle and in line with its left eye, coming up at an angle here, I'm going to just fit in its right eye. So curved line on the top, curved line on the bottom, and then on the insides you can do 2 little curved lines for its eyeball. And then inside of that I am going to do just like a rectangle shape and maybe a circle for where the light is going to hit it. So I'm going to keep those white. And then you can kind of add in a bit of colour onto its eye. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. Okay, so now that its eyes are in place, next thing I'm going to do is pop in its ears. Okay, so at this stage of the drawing, I don't want you to be getting too caught up on rubbing out mistakes or getting everything perfect. This is a sketchy stage. My lines are quite heavy because I want you to see them, but I want you to do this in a really nice light line so you can make adjustments with your rubber afterwards. So don't get caught up with mistakes at the moment, okay? Just map it in as best you can. So I'm going to put in this left ear first. So coming up from that left eye, I'm going to bring out a curve here. So fawns have quite large ears. And it comes up into a point and then comes back down. So you'll see it kind of ends around where the top of the head is. That's one ear. And I'm going to put in another one on the other side. So I'm bringing it up in a kind of a straight line that's coming out to the left. And then it's coming into a point. And then I'm going to bring it down at the back of the head here. See where that angle is straightening out. So I'm going to bring it down here. Okay. Now we can see little folds on the inside of the ear. So I'm going to just put those in. On the left ear, it's just a curved line coming up. And then it's kind of hugging the inside of that ear. And on the right ear, we see one on the right hand side coming in here. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to put in is his back. So coming down from his mouth, I'm going to just do a short straight line. The end of a little curve coming up towards the left. And then I'll just bring that line over to the back of his back. Then I want to bring it down in a slight angle line. And then a little curve and then coming straight in. So that's the back of his, kind of the hump. And his rump at the back. Coming back over then to the front. We've got his part of his neck. His neck's kind of turned around. So I'm bringing that line straight. And then I'm going to bring it down into an angle in towards the left. And then I'm going to bring it down for his front leg, straight down. And we can't really see the hoofs in this picture, so I'm just going to bring it down. That looks a little bit long to me. See, we'll put in a few more of the details and we'll work out the proportions in just a second. I'm going to put in his right leg at the moment, so bring curved line in and I'm bringing that straight down as well. Okay, and then the other side of his right leg, it's his right leg. I'm just going to bring that in parallel and I'm bringing it up in a little curve to its back leg, okay? Brilliant. Okay, so his back leg, I'm bringing it in from his bum and I'm going to just come out at an angle to the left. And then I'm bringing it right back down again. Okay, so it's kind of like his leg is stepped out a little bit. And coming up and then gently coming in at a curve there. Okay, so on the front legs then, we're going to keep the legs all kind of on the same level. We can put in it's like there's fur coming over and a little hoof at the front, so it's like a curved line, and the straight here, straight at the bottom, sorry, and the same here on the other leg. Okay, it's kind of like a nice little fluffy section. underneath here, so we can put just a few little jagged lines there to put that in. And the same on the underbelly here. So you could just put a couple of little zigzag lines just to denote that fur. Okay, good. So I'm pretty happy with this as a sketch out. Make any of the adjustments you need to make at this stage, and because you're after drawing this out with a nice light pencil, if you need to erase anything, now is the time to do it. But I'm pretty happy with this so far. Okay, so I'm going to go in now. I'll finish doing this. Okay, so I'm going to go in now and put in some of the lupins that are in the background. And then I'll start adding in some colour. So for our picture today, we can't put in that hind leg. We can't really see it. But it would come down here. And it's kind of going to mirror the one in front of it. So you can just pop it in if you do want to put it in. I'm going to be putting some grasses and stuff coming up over that section anyway. Okay, so the lupins. So we've got lovely lupins coming up in the background, so you can start putting those in. These are they're kind of wider at the bottom than they are at the top. And they have lots of texture going on in them. So I'm going to put in a couple of the big ones first, just to map out where they're going to go, just by putting in the contour lines. Again, having them pointier at the top than they are at the bottom. This is a nice curve on this one here, so I'll put that in. Over here. Pointier, pointing over to the left, and then it's going to get wider as it comes out. Okay, and then I'm going to do that other one here. So four might be enough. I might leave out this guy at the back. Okay, and now we can put in some of those leaves. So they're quite pointy leaves on the lupins. Are quite distinctive shape to it. So I'm going to put in some of them. The guide just to show me where to put them. There'll be lots of grasses coming up here at the bottom. And some more of the lupin leaves on the side here. Okay, so I'm quite happy with that. I think that's a decent kind of layout drawing done. And I'm ready to start putting in some colour. So I've got my palette here. I'm using acrylic paints. So on my palette, what I've put out are the three primary colours. So I've got the blue, red and yellow. And then I also have a white and I have a black. And then I'm going to mix my colours in the middle of the palette. So I'm going to get myself set up with my brushes. I have a few different sizes of brushes to work with. So I'm just going to mix... First of all, because I want to make it 3D flowers to go on the lupins, I want to just do a little wash or an undercoat on that first, and then that will be dry by the time I am ready to stick my flowers onto it. So they're kind of purpley lupins, and I have two shades of paper to use. So it's kind of like a dark blue and a light blue. So I'm going to try and see if I can make a kind of a bluey purple that'll go with that. So purple, as we know, is made by mixing blue and red together. And that's going to give us quite a dark colour, so I'm going to put in some white with it. And I'm just going to very quickly and loosely map in some of the texture here on the on the lupin. So the tops of the lupins, the tops of the flowers are kind of green. So I'm going to just leave them for the moment, and I'll come back in with some green paint on those in a second. So it's important to remember to wash your brushes as well. In between each colour change, so you have nice clean brushes. And if you have a rag or a tissue paper, just to dry your brushes after you clean them. I'm just going to move up my water here. So clean off my brush and then dry it. And I'm going to mix up a little green colour for the top of the lupin. So the top of the lupins is a very light green. I have a little bit of green mixed here, so I'm going to use that. Blue and yellow, as we know, makes green. So mix up a little bit of blue and yellow, and then add in some white. And we just put in the tops of the flowers there. Okay, so I'm going to just mix up some green now for the bottom part. So it's blue and yellow make green. So we'll mix up a little green here, and again I'm just going to add some white to it. And I'm working quite fast here, so if you need to pause or rewind or anything, please do. I always like listen to music or something while I'm working, so it might be nice to have some music on the background and have a nice relaxed atmosphere for yourself at home. Okay, so I'm just mapping in some of the green. I can come back in at a later stage and kind of add in some more tone and some of the shading and stuff on it. But for the moment, I'm just kind of wanting to get the basic layouts pinned down of where things are going to go. So this flower here is kind of white. It's not formed yet. It hasn't really opened just yet. So it's just a budding one. So I'll just put that in. They're kind of slightly green tinge to them as well. Okay, so I think I'm happy enough with that for the moment. I'm going to come back in and put in some of the shading, so some of the light and dark areas. If you're working with watercolours, of course, remember to start with your light shades first and then come and make them darker. Acrylics are a lot more forgiving in terms of lightening colours, because I can go on top of these with lighter shades if I want to pick out some of the highlights with it. But watercolours, it's a little bit more difficult to do. So yeah, if you're using watercolours, just go from light to dark. Now I'm going to go down to the body and start putting in some of the shade or some of the colour on the body. I forgot to draw in some of the spots. So this little fawn has lots of little spots on his back. So I'm just going to put in a few of those with pencil just to remind myself not to paint those areas. So I mightn't put in quite as many as he has. A little bit of white here under his neck as well. And the back of this leg here. Okay. Now I'm going to make a brown shade. So our fawn is brown, but it's quite a light brown in areas. So in order to make brown, I'm after mixing my blue, red and yellow together. So you mix those together in equal portions and you should get a brown colour. And then I'm adding in quite a lot of white to it because I want more of a taupey colour for my fawn. So I'm going to bring that shade right down to a light colour. And then I can start colouring him in. If you are using acrylics, remember you can add water to loosen the paint to give it more of a wash. I can use it almost like watercolors. So I'm just going to try and leave some of those areas white. Paintbrush isn't really following my direction at the moment, so I'm going to just change over to another paintbrush. So I'm kind of putting in just mid-tones on this, and then I'm going to go back in and do my light and shade. So I do use black, but I use it sparingly. I don't really like depending on black to darken colours. So, but you can always use it. It's good. It has its place. But I'm kind of, yeah, I don't really like to encourage it too much. And remember, you can use your tissue, of course, if you go a little bit too heavy-handed on. You need to just lift it a little bit. Okay, I'm quite happy with that for the moment. There's quite a lot of work to do on the grasses and stuff, but that deer is coming together nicely. So while that is kind of sitting there for a second, I do want to go through just how to make a few of the little petals that we'll put on the lupin, just to make kind of a 3D element. So for that, I just have two pieces of paper. So one is like a sugar paper, and the other one, as you see in the colour there, is kind of a purple and a blue colour. Okay, so they're light enough papers. I just have one on top of the other, and I'm just going to fold them over on themselves a couple of times. And the only reason I'm doing that really is to save myself cutting out lots of petals, so that when I cut it, I'll get 4 times the petals out of it. So the shape that we want to cut our petals is so it's this kind of a shape. It's just just a normal petal shape, but it even can have it kind of rounded on both sides. There's no real need for the tab on this one. So if you want, you can draw them out, and you can kind of look at the proportions as well. It might be a lot smaller than you think. My picture, the petals on my picture are going to be quite small, so I'm going to do them round about this size. So I'm going to just draw a few onto this paper. You don't have to be too exacting, and then I'm just going to cut these out. Okay, so I should have plenty there, and you'll see that when I open up I have lots of little petals, and they're all kind of different colours. So we've got a couple of different colours. Right, so with those then what I'm going to do is a little bit fiddly. You're going to just fold them in half, just so they have a little crease going up the middle of them. And I'm just going to fold a couple in half, and then holding them, I just want to put a little bit of glue on one half of the fold and stick another petal to that. Okay, so when you're finished, you've got this kind of a shape. Okay, can you see that? Okay, so then you can hold that, and I'm going to just hold it there, and I'm putting glue on it there, and I'm just going to stick it down onto my lupin flower. So it's just to make a little bit of a 3D aspect to the picture. Okay, and with the grass, if you want to put in some of the grass, what you can do as well is with a piece of paper, again, just fold it over so you don't have to cut it loads of times, and just put in some nice kind of pointy grass shapes. And again, with those, what you're going to do is just fold them in half down near the bottom, so you don't have to fold them all the way up, just down near the bottom, and then stick it on with half of the So some of it is pointing up like that. So you get a nice kind of shadow and relief with those. So it'll be worthwhile adding a few of those in. Okay, so I'm going to just put a few of those in, and then I think I'm going to come in with a little bit of a darker green just to put in a little bit of shadow and highlights on my grasses and on my leaves. And then I think I'm pretty much nearly finished. Okay, so sometimes as well when we're painting, what can happen is your sometimes your lines can get a little bit obscured. So depends on where you're at. Some people want to practice their tonal work, and with really good tonal work you wouldn't need to do this, but sometimes it can be really nice just to come over with your pencil and just pick out some of those lines again and just make sure that they're nice and strong, that we can see them. Just to remember to have the confidence, go back over the lines that you originally drew. You don't need to draw in new lines. Okay, so I think I'm going to add in just a few little bits and then I think we're finished. So don't forget to put your signature on the bottom right hand corner, and I'll put in just a few more little accentuating lines here up on my flowers. Yeah. So that's my fawn picture. I hope you enjoyed painting along with me today, and I'd love to see your work as usual. If you would like to share it with me, please do, and have a lovely evening. Doing a little wash on the background here. It's hard to know when to stop, isn't it? But I am going to stop now. Just about there. But as I said, yeah, have a lovely time painting your pictures and do share with me. And yeah, I think we're finished. Siobhan, put down your paintbrush. Right, okay, we're finished. Thanks a million, guys. Mind yourselves, and we'll talk to you soon.